It's my going live noise. Alright, and we should be live. Okay. Whew. Second time's a charm. Alright, I don't think I have anything to chat about here at the beginning. You guys ready?
I'm good.
I believe so.
Let's just dive right into it. Whew. RPGs. Alright, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Going around the party, we have Musum.
Hello.
And we have Mina.
Hello.
Let's just, as we do every month, let's just get right down into it. No, without further ado, Musum is drinking coffee when I was going to ask him a question.
Yeah.
How's your coffee doing?
I like it is fuel, and I need fuel right now.
Oh, good. Well, in other news, what RPGs have you been playing?
So I didn't play. Okay, I'll just cut to the chase. I played a ton of Warframe this last month.
Okay. I played two, a visual novel and an adventure game this month. So
yeah,
we're a little bit all over the place.
Like I ran a tiny bit of Destiny with some friends, but I'm right now emotionally I am done with that game. We'll see what happens when September 15th happens.
Professionally, you're done with Destiny.
Yeah. I can't. Half of those quotes from Christian Bale are profanity, and it doesn't really work for this show.
I haven't played Destiny. I fired it up the other day, and I hopped in for maybe about 5 minutes, and I played one match in Crucible, and I was like, okay, I've totally lost my touch, and I don't want to be playing this right now, so I will see you in September.
Yeah, I don't.
Once I'm done with MGS5.
Either 2 or all 3 of my guys are at 34, and I have my friends talking about getting all the prison armor for all the different enemy factions, and I'm just like, ugh.
I'll be over here.
I played a tiny bit more Devil Survivor 2, just kind of enough to, like, I'm on my 3rd playthrough, and I'm really wish they had a fast forward dialogue button, because it's just so much mashing, like, on the A, waiting for him to stop talking, doing a story that I just don't like. The option I'm taking now is the meritocracy ending, and it is just I can't stand the people I'm working for in it, so it really makes me not want to play it.
I was just cleaning some of my collection up the other day, and I have this copy of Devil Survivor 2, and I was like, oh man, maybe I should play that. And I was like, maybe later.
It's a great game. Your first playthrough is going to take you 40 to 50 hours, but I want all the endings now, and I just don't want to put in the effort to get them.
I'm surprised they don't have like a skip previously seen dialogue option.
Yeah,
a lot of the ending games, that seems like it's kind of the default now.
I mean, Persona Golden had it, didn't it?
No, they had the little fast forward thing where the screen kind of went, kind of like if you were fast forwarding an old tape cassette or whatever.
I loved that.
That's perfect.
TV
yeah,
cassette. It was great. It was satisfying too to just hear that sound.
Yeah.
So I played a tiny bit more Pillars of Eternity, and kind of what happened there was I went in because I'm at the end game. I'm at the last act of the game. I already beat the dungeon. The Dungeon of the Endless, or no, that's a game. I beat it, but it, like, now I was presented with a story quest where I have to kind of do a bunch of favors for a bunch of different gods, and it just made me think of all the loading times I've already spent in the game, because the loading screens in that game are horrendous, and it just killed anything. So I'm going to talk about the Warframe hole I went down.
Okay.
I guess I typically just assume no one knows anything about Warframe when I'm talking about it. The hole I started down was I'd never really gotten into kind of min-maxing my Warframes through mods. Like, for those not familiar with Warframe, mods look like playing cards, and they're kind of usually what differentiates the new players from the veteran players.
What sort of mods are we talking about?
They they modify a variety of things on the Warframe. Like the primary ones, they'll modify the efficiency of the Warframe's powers, like essentially how much mana does it cost to cast it.
Oh, okay.
Although the game does not have mana.
Is it like their energy
Yeah.
system?
Yeah. One that modifies energy, one that modifies how much energy you hold, one that modifies the range of your powers, one that modifies the strength of your powers. Was that 4? That was 4. Oh wait, no, there's one more. I can't remember. But basically they put the min-max stats on your inventory screen now, which is kind of crazy. So all of these start out at 100%, and with mods you can max them. You can max one of them all the way to 235%.
Holy jeez.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But like most of the mods that enable you to do that, like give to one and take away from the other. So here's one that improves in efficiency, but it lowers duration. So the ideal is to pick a Warframe whose powers you like using that benefit from one of them and don't care about the other one, right? And that was, I don't know, it was just a real fascinating whole to see how complicated that whole game can get.
Yeah.
And then Update 17 happened for Warframe. Update 17 is absolutely nuts. It just hit yesterday. Today's Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
The Update 17 completely changes the movement in the game.
Oh, wow.
I think they are absolutely insane for doing it, but it is so much fun. Like where previously the movement was, okay, you move forward, you have a run button and a stamina meter, and you can slide, and your sliding speeds you up, and then you can jump, and it'll launch you, and like new players never could control the launch, so you would wind up halfway across the map and wouldn't really know how to aim it. But the new movement system basically gives you double jump, lets you infinitely jump up walls, and also gives you a bullet time in the middle of, like, you can, let me see, you can bullet time in the middle of your jump. So essentially you can run, and you don't have a stamina meter anymore too. So you run, you slide, you aim your camera once you start sliding, and then when you jump, your character launches in that direction pretty far. And then if you hit your gun button, you'll go into a bullet time, but it's a multiplayer game, so actually your character just slows down in his launch so you can aim better.
Jeez. So you're basically like future cyborg Spider-Man?
Yeah. It is,
that sounds okay.
So awesome. You can now like run on top of zip lines throughout the level. It is just... It has breathed like complete new life into this game.
Wow.
Like, I cannot recommend it more to people. Unfortunately, it is only out for PC, and they have not announced any console date.
That's on PS4 and Xbox One, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
It feels like those versions have kind of always lagged at least 1 or 2 patches behind, so that's not too surprising.
It's kind of messed up, because when I got into Warframe, I got into it thinking, oh, I'll just transfer my guy over to PS4 and then make that my primary. But
yeah,
not everything transferred when I went to PS4. And I was like, well,
well, crap.
I have these special badges and, like, you know, for events I took place in and all this stuff to prove that I've been there since essentially year 1 on Warframe. So
right.
I never did it. I am thinking, like I got an Xbox One this last month. And so my thinking is when Update 17 hits Xbox One, I am super curious as to what it would be like to be a new player and enter that game.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to pursue I'm going to do that with Xbox One, but I'm not going to pursue it to the extent of getting everything. I just want to kind of feel what the new player experience is like, you know?
Yeah, just kind of it's like going back to WoW, and it's sort of like, oh man, what is it like to play a new character? Let me start a new character, and it's like, oh, I have everything. Okay,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and I don't have the option on PC. You know, I can delete my account, and that would be horrible.
Yeah,
but
that's a bad idea.
But I don't know. I love that game, and I have played a poop ton of it this last month, and I don't I don't know that there's much to say about it that I haven't already said or that I didn't just say. So that's it for me.
Oh, all right, Mina, how about you?
So I played a lot of not RPGs, but I did play a couple of RPGs. We'll start off from the top. I played Final Fantasy XIV, Heaven's Ward. Actually, the last night I got to experience the hardest content currently for the expansion, the
Ooh.
Alexander Savage mode. You go inside Alexander and you're fighting inside him.
That sounds so cool. I keep seeing all these screenshots and all this news from Final Fantasy XIV, and I was like, no, I can't do it. And then like you're telling me, like, oh, you can just go in Alexander, and that's a dungeon. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool.
Yep. So
I have to be strong.
So many of the bosses and even the monsters, a lot of the monsters I've been fighting, I've noticed, like, because of this other game I was playing, are huge callbacks to Final Fantasy V, like the galley cat. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
I
cat with wings.
It Gallicat. It's probably a Gaelic cat, but I don't know.
Something. But there's like all these callbacks to all these other enemies from Final Fantasy V that, while playing through Final Fantasy V, I'm like, you know what? I was just killing these things over in 14. I didn't even realize it. I just slipped my mind.
You're farming Gallicat pelts.
Not exactly, but close. So I'm still having a lot of fun in Final Fantasy 14. I finished leveling my Astrologian up to level 60, which is the new healer class they had added with the expansion. I leveled Machinist to 60 within the last month. So I've been experiencing those two new jobs. There's also Dark Knight that was added. I have not really played that to any real amount. But yeah, the game is a lot of fun, and I gotta tell you, if this is, I don't want to say this, but this is like the MMO that's probably gonna survive, outside of WoW and, a lot of the, we're talking about subscription based. Like, a lot of MMOs that are subscription based, we know, tend to go to free to play or some sort of cash shop sort of thing.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XIV is never going to go that way.
Does it have any, real money marketplace or real money shop or anything like that?
Yeah, it's for like glamour stuff. So, like you still have like the little hair salon inside the game, but if you wanted to change your character's race or maybe some of the more hardcore details of your character, like height and stuff or whatever,
right,
you actually have to buy items to change your character's appearance. Every now and then they throw in like a free Fantasia, which is what you use to change with certain things that go on with the game, but for the most part you have to pay for those. Yeah, and I mean, like, almost all of the stuff on the shop is pretty much not going to impact you in any sort of way. Appearance, little minions to follow you around, the little pets that don't do anything other than just be cute. You can pay for weddings to get the most glamorous wedding.
Naturally.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. Mounts, just kind of like the WoW sort of stuff.
Yeah, where it's like, here's a cool skeleton horse. It's $10. And it's like, all right, I'll buy that. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
So, really, I don't ever see them ever going to that less than a subscription based. So
11 is still subscription based, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I think they're pretty stubborn about that.
They are, and in the same token, if you're a subscription based MMO, you have to continually be adding content and continually giving something for people to go for. Otherwise, you will obviously lose your customer base, or they will look at something that's free and go, "Why not play that instead? I don't have to pay money for it." So, I do think it's actually worth the subscription model if you are looking for a subscription-based MMO, because they really do take care of their game to the utmost. It feels pretty good. Enough about 14, though. I started my Final Fantasy V Fiesta.
Yes.
So last year I dropped out, and the reason why I dropped out was because I had a really, really bad team. I had no healing whatsoever. I think my team was Thief, Time Mage. Was it Ranger? And then Bard or something like that? Not Bard. It was not Bard.
It was something close to that, yeah.
Like, it was like Dancer or Dragoon or something. I forget. But I remember just really having a real struggle with, I'm not really putting out enough damage. Like, this thief is not doing it.
Yeah.
And I just remember just going at some point, I'm like, I could win this, but it would require a lot of grinding and a lot of potions, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So this time around, you know, I'm getting excited. I'm like, you know, maybe this time I'll get, you know, I want just one healer, you know.
This year will be different.
It'll be different. So I start out with the white mage, and
oh boy,
wow, what a difference! I remember my playthrough going through that as a thief, like the first, you know, section to the next crystal. I remember it being rough. I remember needing, like, I'm using like little tiny daggers or whatever, and just like poking things. And I remember the skeletons. You could either they dropped a sword that the thieves could equip, or you could steal something.
I have thief as my first job this year. They drop them.
Okay, they dropped them.
I had to look it up because I was like, wow, one character has a weapon. This is awesome.
Yes, they drop them. And I remember I had to farm those, and I was really low on potions by the time I got to Siren, and it was rough.
Yeah.
I did not plan that through.
Oh, that fight.
With white mages, with the team of white mages, that fight is easy.
Yeah, you just heal your way to victory.
Heal my way to victory. So, my second job was Summoner. I've never had that ever in a Final Fantasy V game, so this is my first time going through as a Summoner. And I was amazed by how much damage they did. I'm being told, because I haven't completed it yet, that Summoner tends to taper off in damage.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
But I can still break rods, so you know.
Yeah, so you're good.
Whatever, I'm good. So the Summoner is really, really strong. What I didn't realize was when I got to, I think my third job was Bard. And here's where I'm starting to, like, scratch my head, because I'm like, I have White Mage, Summoner, Bard, and I'm feeling like I don't really have, you know, that power yet.
Yeah, like a knight or a
something.
A berserker or
anything. A berserker at that point I would have been praying for. I'd been like, please, berserker. I could use you right now. So then I got to the sandworm, and just before the fight, I remember I'm about to go in it, and I don't remember the bosses anymore. And Mid goes, "Oh, by the way, remember, don't use magic." And I'm like,
oh god, that
what?
Mistranslation kills me every year.
I'm like, what? And I'm confused. And so I avoided using magic because my brain was like, don't use magic. And the fight was just going on and on. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use Shiva. I'm just going to attack. Yeah. And nothing happened because of me using magic. And then I was like, I've been battling this horrible battle with just slow poking my way to victory.
Yeah, that's the only bad part about the English version of Final Fantasy V is they mistranslated that. It should be, don't use multi-target magic. Instead, they're like, just don't use magic, man. It's like, no, that's not the solution.
So, after that, the last job I ended up getting is Chemist.
Oh man, so lucky.
That's my team right there. I haven't gotten farther than after collecting Chemist.
Oh, man. Well, you between Bard and Chemist, you're gonna breeze through the rest of that game.
Yep, it's gonna be fun.
So jealous.
My the next game I played after that was after being on the podcast last time, and I think we brought up Final Fantasy X for the PS4 for some reason. I couldn't resist, and I loaded up my PS4 and I bought Final Fantasy X because why not? I already own it on everything else.
Triple,
why not buy it? Why not buy it a fourth time? You know, just buy it one more time.
I'm not gonna judge you.
So, I bought that and I immediately dove in, and I am just that game looks so pretty.
Yeah, they did a really good job on the PS4 version.
They did. What did the older version also let you choose the soundtrack, like the PS3 or the?
No, that's just the PS4 version.
Okay.
Which everybody was pissed off about because they're like, I can't believe it. And it's like, a new soundtrack isn't that bad. I enjoy some tracks.
I do too. I think the only soundtrack that I didn't quite like was, it's actually really, really at the front of the game, was when you're on your way to Besaid Village or whatever, the soundtrack that plays while you're swimming in that water area.
Right.
The original one, I really like that one. And I notice it immediately, but the rest of them are fine. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I got all the way... Oh, I forgot. So I'm playing this with one of my friends who has never played Final Fantasy X before.
Oh, nice.
Never. Knows nothing about it. So we're playing through it at the same time. Like, I'm keeping at pace. Where I'm just like, okay, how far are you now? And they'd be like, oh, I just hit Luca. I'm like, okay, I can get to Luca. I can keep up with anybody playing that game. So I wasn't concerned. You know, and they were like, oh, how do I do this blitzball thing? And I'm like, do you want the easy answer or
do you really want to know? Like, how much time do you have?
Because I could sit here and talk about blitzball all day because that was a really good...
Talk to you about our Lord and Savior Dotto.
Right? So, we got all the way up to just before the Chocobo Eater, I think is the name of the monster.
Yeah.
Okay, that we are right before that, and I wanted to see the impression of somebody who knew nothing about Final Fantasy X get to the laugh scene and what their impression was, and he saw nothing wrong with it. He was just like, he's like, this guy laughs kind of funny.
Yeah.
And he laughed about it. And I was like, yeah.
It's just a weird scene.
Intentional.
It just got so blown out of proportion online.
If you ever listen to the Japanese version, you will have a newfound...
It's real bad.
You'll have a newfound appreciation for what was done with the North American one. So that's how far I got into that. I did go back to... I am doing the Expert Sphere Grid or whatever it is, the new one.
Yeah.
Because, gosh, I love that one so much more. I take Yuna, because she already has those basic cure stuff, and I take her straight down to getting the Fyras and Blizzaras and stuff like that. Oh,
nice.
She becomes an immediate replacement for Lulu.
Bye, Lulu.
I like Lulu, but I also like the ability to have just one person be the healer and caster and everything, and so Lulu kind of gets put to the side. I still want to platinum that game. Is that bad?
No, because I keep looking at it. It's still in my pile under my TV, and I keep thinking, like, man, if I just play like a couple hours a week, in a couple of months, I could have a platinum. And I'm just like, no, what? No, that's just... Stop.
Because you got to finish the entire Sphere Grid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For everybody. And you have to fill in all of the blank spots, too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of like, wow, that's going to require some effort.
Yeah.
So after playing Final Fantasy X, the other game that I've been playing a giant bulk of my time is Fantasy Life. That level 5 game.
Yeah, for 3DS?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Gosh, I really like this game. It is the best for somebody who, like, let's say you don't want to invest your time into an MMO, but you kind of want the addiction that is an MMO. This right here. This right here. This
right
is
your
your. You get your MMO fix right here. So, I actually got a couple of my other friends into playing it too now, and since you can have up to 2 other people playing with you while you're exploring Fantasy Life, it's It's really nice. And then if I want to strike out on my own without anybody, I can just hire along. Oh, that's the other thing. I did not know about this because I never tried to. In Fantasy Life, I think maybe you have to buy the DLC as well. I don't know one way or the other. It's like an extra maybe $8. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. The DLC adds a lot of content. Some of the NPCs, after you go a certain part in the story, or maybe you leveled a certain length, or you get far enough in the jobs of the game, they actually join you as kind of like party members instead of just pets. So what's really cool about that is just like I don't have to bring along a pet, and I kind of like when I work with my companions, they do maybe abilities that I can't use, and it's really nice to just, I don't know, have a change of pace, add some party members to my group. I really like Fantasy Life. It's still really good. I'd still recommend it. I think it's gone down in price since I last talked about it. But other than that, that's all I've been playing. What about you, Boston?
I played last night. I just finished Life is Strange episode 4, and I was just looking back through my notes to see if I've talked about Life is Strange on the show before, and I don't think I have. So I'll wait until episode 5 is out, probably another 6 or 7 weeks, and then kind of wrap up that whole thing. If you haven't played Life is Strange and you like adventure games, you should go play it. It is startlingly excellent. But on the non-RPG, but things we talk about on the show anyway front, I picked up Steins Gate. I imported that from Europe for the Vita. I knew this was a visual novel before I bought it, and I know that everybody that had played it has loved it, but I didn't know that it was a very traditional visual novel, where it very much is you have a book with backgrounds and voice acting. It's not like 999 or Virtue's Last Reward, where it's sort of broken up with puzzles or anything. But man, this game is super great. It has, I haven't yet finished it. I'm on chapter 7. I just hit chapter 7 this morning. So obviously I won't be talking about it for fear of spoilers, but there's something about a time travel story that is explained in a way that would make it kind of scientifically plausible, and then having a story continually play with that is just, it's really great. And the translation in the game is great. The writing is outstanding. The characters are really, really great. A lot of visual novels can sort of be poisoned by terrible music, since it's, a minute track looping for 40 hours. Thankfully, there's no problems there. It has a great art style. It's outstanding, and it comes out. Looking here at the releases, it comes out at the end of this month in the U.S. You don't want to wait that long. You can just import the European one. PS3 and Vita are both region free, so I just picked up the European one and popped it in my Vita, and it works. So so far it seems outstanding, and it seems like me talking had made a couple people on Twitter purchase it, and a couple people have finished it before I did and said it's outstanding. So I'm really kind of itching to finish that up. So but the last game I played is, and Mina and I will probably have a pretty good conversation about this, and there are spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to hear about spoilers for Bravely Default, probably skip about 20 minutes ahead. I'll try and put the timestamp in the show notes. Oh boy, Bravely Default. I seem to be the only person on the face of the earth that likes Bravely Default.
Oh, no.
Please don't hit me, everyone. I think so. Bravely Default, I talked about it last month, and I talked about it a lot on TVGP lately. The first 4 chapters is probably one of the most charming and solid, not outstanding, but really solid JRPGs I've played in a while. It's it's just it's one of those JRPGs you can play and be like, that was a good time. That was a cute little story. There's some good voice acting. Everything's good.
I agree with you 100%.
Man, and then chapters 5 through 8 happen, and for a good reason, the game continues to repeat itself. But the problem that Bravely Default has is it gets you into this horrible quagmire where literally the characters in the game are saying, well, that didn't work, so let's try doing it again. And it doesn't work, and it's like, let's do it again? And it's this horrible thing, because eventually you do it like 2.5 times, and then the story eventually gets around to explaining why you're doing it over again. And most people by this point will have accidentally broken the game to just get through it. And there's just the story justification that they present for doing this over and over again, I felt was really interesting, and I thought was a really interesting twist. It just took so long to get there, and then there was even more on the end of it where it was just sort of like, well, I know what I have to do, but I just kind of have to check these checkboxes just to get to the good ending. So why? But then I felt like by the time you fight the final boss, which is some of the worst voice acting in JRPGs I have run into, unfortunately, and you get the ending, and the ending wraps up every single thing you were doing in this game, including the social stuff, into this outstanding ending that manages to sort of tell a time travel story in a weird way. This is now 3 of 3 games this month that is telling a time travel story. For me, it kind of wrapped the whole thing up, and at the end I was sort of like, all right, that was pretty good. I spent way too much time hitting X to activate crystals, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is you'll find that a lot of people who don't like Bravely Default probably didn't get all the way to get the very good ending.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people usually by a second or third reset would have just basically just tapped out and said, you know what, I'm done with this game. I'm just gonna push it aside and not play it anymore. And that, I think that's kind of, I think they could have taken out 1 or 2 loops, or done something to like hasten that a little bit, because I was pretty done. And I was at some point I just clicked my brain into, okay, let's just finish this mode. I'm not, just focus on beating it, forget about the fact that I'm kind of upset with how many times I've had to do this already.
And each world, I feel like they could have presented it even a little bit better, because each world they give you basically a boss rush where you can go and you can get job points and you can get plenty of experience by going back and beating other bosses. And there are sort of fun storylines with those bosses when you go back to fight them again, because things are different in each world as you go through it. And by the time you're there the third time, they're ganging up 2 or 3 bosses at a time, and you're fighting them. And
thankfully,
and there are these great interactions between each one of these bosses, and there's kind of these fun little stories. But when you get to them, and you get, every time you reset this world and you get into there, the whole map is just full of exclamation marks, and you're just like, well, I don't want to do any of this now.
Super overwhelming.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate, because I think there was a lot of stuff there, and I absolutely agree with you. If they would have taken out, let's say, 2 of those crystal activation sequences, because for people that are listening that maybe haven't played Bravely Default, basically a sequence, you play through the first 4 chapters, and in each chapter you activate a crystal. And for each of the other chapters in the game, in each chapter you're activating all 4 crystals. And it's unfortunate because it's very rote, because you already have the maps available. You can fly to the dungeon. All you basically need to do is turn off encounters and kind of walk to the crystal, mash X a bunch of times, repeat 3 more times, and then watch the game reset itself. And it's just kind of like, there's new stuff every time, but there's not enough to say, oh, cool, I'm going to get more stuff if I just reset 4 more crystals. It's just like, oh, God, again? Oh, no.
And I think another thing about the game is, honestly and truthfully, you kind of understand who the real villain is. I think most people would 100% know who the real villain is on maybe the first or second loop. There's kind of a pretty good indicator of who this person is.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you would have continued to follow through with breaking the crystals. Or,
right, like, why are you going to keep being with this person when they're very clearly not on your side?
And your brain says, okay, maybe, and a lot of people would have gotten the one ending where they don't mash X.
Right.
And just because they would have been like, you know what? I'm not going to do what this person tells me to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately too, there's a bad ending you can get where, again, for people that haven't played it, you're basically mashing X until this one character says stop, and then after the first 4 chapters, you can keep mashing X. There's like this couple second window where you can keep mashing X, and if you do, you get a game over. You basically get the bad ending, but you don't have to mash X for 20 additional times just to get the good ending. Which, the final boss battle was really great, and there are a bunch of battles at the end of that game that are really, really good, and there's a really great ending. It's just the middle half of this game, it's tough, because if it was just, you know, the first 4 chapters and then the ending, I would have no problem recommending this game. This would be required reading for JRPG fans. But with that middle section, it's to the point where, like, when I got into chapter 5 and we have to do the same thing again, I immediately looked up a FAQ, because I'm like, I did something wrong. Like, clearly I did something wrong, because now I have to do this all again. And this FAQ was basically like, okay, chapter 5, we're going to be doing this a bunch of times. You didn't do anything wrong. Let's get down to it. It's just like, right? Okay, I just have to put in the time. And it's really unfortunate, because everything on both sides of this game are great, and I genuinely can't figure out if I can recommend this game or not. I can't say you shouldn't play it, but I can't say you have to play it. It's just this kind of like, maybe if you've got time?
It's so interesting to me, because most of the time games don't have like this weird middle part that kind of sucks. It's like, no, both ends were amazing, especially I love the front end of this game. Every time you got, like, you know, the access to the new jobs and stuff, I mean, each job feels colorful and amazing to use. So,
and the very last job is broken. That job,
that's a pat on the back for getting there.
Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest fights in the game, but getting that last job was... So for anybody listening, you basically apply summons to your character to boost stats, and immediately it's really easy to find the last summon, and you apply that to your character, and you are just infinitely overpowered. It's like TG Sid in Final Fantasy Tactics, where it's just, that character is just like, well, alright, I guess I just broke this game open.
Yep. I love Bravely Default, and I want to go back and play it again. But I kind of think that when they introduce Bravely Default 2, a lot of that sort of thing won't exist again, because I think there was enough of an outcry from everyone worldwide that they did not like that. Not the ending, but the idea of looping. The repetition. It felt old.
Well, and I've ever since I finished, because I know Bravely Second is going to be coming out, I think early next year here. I was looking at some early import coverage of it, trying to find some non-spoiler coverage, just trying to see if anyone's I don't want to get invested in this game if they're going to repeat the same problems, because it's Square, and I know they know that was a problem, but that's not necessarily a guarantee that they won't be like, well, we messed it up a little bit, but if we just give 3 crystals, we'll just do the same thing.
Got it.
Yeah, and
it'll be like Final Fantasy 13.
We'll just keep trying. How's a clock puzzle sound? And unfortunately, it sounds like Bravely Second has different problems, but thankfully not that problem. So, fingers crossed. I'll buy Bravely Second, and I will fall on the sword for this show. But hopefully,
I'll do it too.
Yeah, hopefully I won't have to look up a fact and be like, okay, now I'm on chapter 10, and did I break it? Like, am I going to the bad ending? No, okay, I just keep on keeping on. All right. So, but yeah, Bravely Second, I don't know if you should play it. That's just my honest answer. It's one of those things where I kind of almost want somebody to play through the first 4 chapters and then kind of watch the last couple of hours on YouTube and just don't play the middle.
You know, that would actually be really good. I would actually advise that to someone. I'd be like, go ahead and buy it, play it, and then the moment the looping stuff starts to get on your nerves, look
watch
it up
a Let's
online.
Play and just kind of
watch a Let's Play and
the
finish
other story stuff in like chapters 5 through 8 are pretty interesting as they sort of drip feed it, but I don't know if it's really worth spending 20 more hours to go through all that stuff.
Right. I had that same sort of feeling too. I forget which loop it was, but on a particular loop, the black mage guy, I can't remember his name.
Ominous?
Something
like that.
Ominous,
Yeah.
I remember now. His reaction to your party is like this major freak out.
Yeah.
And then you come to understand just by context clues what had happened. Very likely, and this is obviously a spoiler, just because of his reaction of seeing Anya? No, it's not Anya. It's he freaks out because of Adia.
Yeah.
Because he killed her. His reaction is like he was the one who killed her because back in, I guess, this timeline, they did not arrive in time to stop him in the true timeline of whatever. So his reaction to seeing her was this just major freak out. How are you here? You can't be here. Sort of reaction. And I remember that being like, that's pretty cool. You know, just knowing that in this Sliders episode. You know, you just walked into a timeline where that scene had already played out and he had already killed her. So
and my last sort of grievance to leverage against Bravely Default is this game has a blue mage class in it, the vampire job.
Oh yeah,
they give it to you basically at the end, and you can't really get all of the things, all the monster skills, unless you go through the optional dungeon to get some of the really early ones in the game. And I was like, well, you give the blue mage at the beginning, and then you just have someone as that the entire game, and then you just kind of pull out. So it's just, I don't know.
The other thing I hated about the vampire thing was on each loop, when you had to go back to his castle thing, he had the same dialogue over and over again, and he even acknowledges the fact that the stuff he's saying to you doesn't surprise you, but he's still going to go through the entire
you
dialogue.
must have heard this anyway. Anyway, the angel. And it's like, well, no, okay. Fast forward.
If you're not going to change the dialogue at all, don't give it to me. Just let me walk through this part so that we can get to the top.
Yeah. So Bravely Default, and that's that's the only RPG I played this month. So let's take a break.
Mason, did you play Bravely Default at all? I don't remember.
Nope, don't even own it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I was interested in it like back when it came out, but like as my life has progressed, money has gotten more and more has been less in my life. My brain is gone today. I apologize.
It's okay.
Well, and I think I think the unfortunate part too is it seems like with Bravely Second, it basically starts off in the middle of something that's happening a couple years later in the timeline. So it seems like you kind of have to play Bravely Default to get into Bravely Second, and that's unfortunate. So, Square, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Wow.
honestly, I got kind of burnt out on RPGs this last month, just a little, and
Yeah.
so played a massive amount of Forza Horizon 2,
Oh, that
which
game is so good.
which ironically, like, I debated about trying to qualify it as an RPG.
I mean, it is a little bit. It's a car PG.
Yeah.
Carp.
See you guys later. That's a other Jay-Z pun right there.
Yeah, that's I like it. I like it. That's a great game.
Yeah, that's a really good game.
Open world driving games, give them to me all day. I will. It's actually has made me consider looking into the other two that are in existence right now because I like Forza Horizon 2 so much. But,
Which other two?
well, that one that everyone hates that's on PlayStation, Drive.
Oh, Drive Club.
Club?
Drive Club
Yeah.
is really good. If you like Forza Horizon, you would probably like Drive Club. The only reason people hated it is because there were a lot of server issues at the beginning so none of the like multiplayer Drive Club stuff where you're making a club really worked. But all that stuff was sorted out like 6 months ago.
Okay.
You
And
can
then
find
it's-
that cheap.
It seemed like there was another game from. Wait, is Drive Club? Drive Club's the Sony one, so Ubisoft has one too, don't they?
The Crew.
The Crew. that was
Apparently
it.
that wasn't great.
Okay.
I've been thinking about picking it up once it hits like $20-$30. It sounds like one of those things where you kind of go through it once and it's sort of like, that was okay.
Okay. Well, I don't. Man, I don't know. I really like Forza Horizon 2, but that's.
It's really I'm glad you're playing it because so many people have looked at Forza Horizon 1 and 2 and they're like, they look at it and they're like, well, this seems dumb, this festival. It's like, yeah, it's actually really entertaining. Like, it's genuinely pretty engaging.
Well, and I know this entire fall is going to be completely filled with RPGs because it's.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to it in a minute, but like starting at the end of August and then probably all the way through the end of the year will just be like 100-hour RPG releases every month, you know?
Yep.
So
Yeah, I haven't even started The Witcher 3 yet either.
and
Oh wow.
Yeah.
and man, I still haven't. I've been actually meaning to go back to the first Witcher and just finish that third act because I'm there. I should
You
finish it.
shouldn't have done those quests.
I know.
We told you not to do it.
I know.
Be strong.
I'm so bad at taking advice. I
It's
don't
like number one on the list of things to do. Don't try to do those quests.
Yeah, there's too
Yeah.
much to do everything.
I just want to get to the end and then play Witcher 2 because that game's supposed to be really good too.
Yeah,
And
I've always heard Witcher 2 is good, but I couldn't get more than half an hour into Witcher 1. I was just like, oh god, this
Yeah.
game.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember if I said it on here, but like as far as the Xbox One goes, I don't see what the big deal with like everyone being negative about it is. It's not that bad.
They've fixed a lot of issues from launch.
Like I mean, granted, like I can't find. I have no idea how to change my profile pic.
Oh god, I did that once, and I don't think I found it again.
Yeah. So I'm left with my stupid growly avatar looking thing on there.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I can find the games and I can find Netflix, and that's all that really matters.
That's all. That's all that really matters.
But
Man.
anyway,
All right. You guys ready to do the second half here?
I'm ready.
let's do it.
Oh, excuse me. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk RPG releases for August 2015. First up is Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold: The Fafnir Night for the 3DS, coming out on the 4th of August. I'm getting excited for that. I have the cartridge sitting here, Etrian Mystery Dungeon. I sort of pooped out on that pretty early. Sorry. Other GZ in chat said, "Yeah, hurry it up, will you? SGDQ is going on." I know. The Puexel's Chrono Trigger run is going to happen later today, and I have to see it.
I have to see it too.
Yeah, his runs recently have been really good. I'm excited for this game. I hear it's way better than the first Etrian Odyssey Untold. The story mode is way better, and kind of the improvements they've made to the traditional mode are really good. So I might try this. I was thinking about hopping back into Persona Q, but maybe I'll hop into this instead when it comes out. I feel like I need to chew on another Etrian Odyssey game.
From just an educational perspective, like, I am super curious to see, like, because the original Etrian Odysseys were so, I mean, it was all dungeon, with very little story. So I'm really curious to see what that is like for them to go back and inject a story and, give you specific characters you're supposed to use.
Yeah, I heard in the first one that the story was kind of at best predictable. It's sort of like the rote JRPG story. But I hear in the second one it's a little bit more nuanced, and the characters that they give you are quite a bit more interesting. So that's, to me, that's kind of a benefit. So it comes out pretty soon, so I'll probably talk about it next month. Fairy Fencer F coming out for the PC on the 4th as well. Dungeon Travelers 2, the Royal Library, and the Monster Seal coming out on the Vita on the 18th. I don't know much about that game. I just thought that was a super cool title. Sounds like that part in Final Fantasy V World 1. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD coming out on PC on the 18th. They're making some additional adjustments to this game when it's coming out on PC. So it sounds like if you have been waiting to play Final Fantasy Type 0, this is probably, as long as it's not totally broken on launch, it sounds like this is kind of the new definitive version of this game. So I didn't really play much on PS4, so I'm not entirely sure. Shadowrun Hong Kong comes out on PC on the 20th. Is this the next expansion, like the next proper expansion here?
Yeah, this is the last Kickstarter they ran.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be on a modified version of the Director's Cut engine from their Berlin expansion they did. So
right.
I am a backer. I will be talking about it. I'm pretty excited.
And last but certainly not least, Steins Gate comes out for the PS3 and PS Vita on the 25th of August. If you're looking to buy that, Rice Digital in the UK is the only one taking pre-orders for the collector's edition. Amazon in the US is the only one that will have the standard edition. So if you're looking for it, those are kind of the two places. All right, let's move on to news stories. Kind of the biggest one here was, it got leaked about 24 hours before the announcement, but Dragon Quest XI In Search of Departed Time was announced. Strangely, for the PS4 and 3DS. They're doing something kind of cool where the two versions are really similar, but the 3DS version on the top has the 3D version of the game, so the polygonal version, and on the bottom it's the same game, but it's top down with 2D sprites. So that alone makes me normally I'd say, like, well, I'll just play it on the PS4, why not? But that's kind of cool. I don't know if we know too much else about 11 at the moment. Have either of you guys seen anything more concrete about it?
No, I just remember that when I heard the announcement for what it was coming out on, my brain took a stop and I was like, "You're doing what now?
Yeah.
You're doing what? You're just gonna? That's it?
Yeah,
okay."
Those are the two? All right.
Like, normally you dip into one completely, or you dip into all of them, but not just one and one. But all I could think of was, I need to get a new Nintendo 3DS before this comes out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be on the new 3DS or the older ones.
They did announce that it was going to be on the I I think they said it was going to be on the new one.
Oh, okay.
Let me check. Let me triple check. Yes, the PS4, 3DS, and the Nintendo NX, or I guess that's what they call the whatever.
Yeah, that's their new home console. That it's been kind of funny because alongside they announced Dragon Quest X coming out on PC, Wii U, and 3DS. Or no, sorry. It'll also be coming to PS4 and NX, and then somebody's like, wait, Nintendo's new home console? And Square Enix was like, no, I mean, maybe, but who knows? I don't know. We don't know anything about that. See ya. It's just like, oh, well, okay. So,
yeah.
Who really knows which version of 3DS it'll come out on, or if it'll come out on the NX or not, but I'm kind of excited to get a new non-online Dragon Quest game. I could use one of those. I enjoyed 9. I didn't finish it.
The Starry Sky one?
Yeah, that one was really good.
It was really good.
And of course, really 8 is one of the best PS2 RPGs out there.
Of course.
So,
which one was the multiplayer one for DS?
10.
Okay.
Oh, the
9 had
multiplayer one.
Multiplayer, yeah.
Yeah.
9 was the multiplayer?
9.
Yeah, we didn't get 10 in the US.
Yeah, I played 9 quite a bit with my wife Susie and absolutely loved it. But I didn't beat it either. I got to what has to be the end of the game because I don't know what other level area they could have come up with. For if I remember right, it was. I mean, this is an old game. Just spoilers, but like you essentially go to heaven, right? Am I remembering this right?
Yeah, at some point.
Correct.
And like that's the end area, right? There's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh man, I was at the ending too.
That's the final boss. That's the final boss there. Then you get the after game, which is basically like you beat the game. Here's 60 more hours of content you can throw yourself at. Have fun.
Maybe I did.
And we're gonna.
Then.
Maybe
they throw in like 2. You might have. If you beat the final boss and he turns back to an angel with the one chick who's been looking for him the entire game that kept walking around with the cloak. She's just like ghost girl walking around constantly. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I did finish the game.
That's the end of the game, and then you I guess you sacrifice yourself to become mortal again or whatever, and you get thrown back on Earth.
That
and
does
then
sound familiar.
You have like a couple of things you can do in that area, but since you're locked out of everywhere except the place that you can change your job at, and also that the little portside town where you help the little girl with Leviathan. I don't remember. They don't say Leviathan. Weird.
Yeah, it's
name,
like some shortening of it. Yeah.
If you help out whatever that is, you get the golden apple that turns you back to an angel, and you can go around and do 60 more hours of content, maps, 2 new jobs. I love
those
this
maps
game.
Were so good.
You know what? I remember the 2 new jobs, so I'm pretty sure I got there. But
you beat the game.
I am severely envious of your memory, Mina.
Yeah, me too. Because I think I finished that game, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I got it.
I made the wrong decisions in high school, I think.
Next news story here: Final Fantasy Explorers coming to North America in 2016. I didn't really expect this game to come out here in the U.S., but it's basically kind of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles smushed with Final Fantasy V's job system, and it's coming out here in the U.S. for 3DS.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. I wish I had more 3DSs here so I could have my wife play it with me together.
I know stuff about this game.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So first of all, before anybody gets upset, there are 9 hours of gameplay because this game is mostly kind of like in the sense of Fantasy Life. It's like this big, huge MMO offline game sort of thing where there's job system, and if you're bum rushing the story, you're going to be able to clear it in no time flat. Which is the only downside that I hear about the game is that it's short.
Oh, okay.
But it's got kind of more of like one person said it was kind of like a Final Fantasy sort of Monster Hunter sort of thing where it's just kind of like if you're all about the game and going into working on your character and improving your character, there's a lot of content there. If you're just going for the story, it's really short.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting.
That's what I've heard about it.
Nice. Next news story here. Atlas and Vanillaware announced the remake to Odin Sphere. Odin Sphere Lefthrithsir. I don't know what that word is. That's the best I'm gonna be able to do. It's coming out in Japan in January of 2016, and Atlas US has already said like, oh yeah, we're bringing that over. Come on, you're good. Seems like there's kind of a classic mode in the game where it's just the PS2 version, which I really enjoyed, and it seems like I am in the vast minority there.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people are talking a bunch of mess about Odin Sphere now, and it's just like, guys, that game was on the PS2 and pretty old. It's kind of impressive what they did in that game at that time.
God, that game was great.
That game was really good. I got 100%. I 100% completed that game. I played everything in that game. It was really good.
Yeah, I got nowhere near that far, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it was kind of a slog at the end to finish 100% of it. Hi, this cat is right in my face. And it sounds like when they're looking at making this HD version, not only are they 1080p, 60 frames, yada yada. It looks like they're kind of tightening up the whole game. Where it sounds like they're going to make cooking a little bit easier. They're going to make growing stuff in levels easier. Sounds like they're going to make the individual sort of ring levels larger, and then kind of improve the battle system a little bit more. So sounds like you'll be able to do some air juggles a little better. You'll be able to dash in the air, kind of more Muramasa style, which I think will help make that game, make a really good game even better. And if they can kind of ease some of the requirements for getting 100% of that game and getting the true ending, I think that would make it even better. And hopefully it means more people are going to play Odin Sphere, because that game was really good, and it kind of got looked over. And you can grow sheep out of a plant. How do you not want to play that game?
That sold.
Yeah, and
I
now
forgot about the farming stuff. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, now you'll be able to see all that beautiful food in 1080p. That's gonna be great. Vanillaware loves their food. Next news story here. New Baldur's Gate was announced. Sort of living here between Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Musum, I'm sort of assuming that you know something about this?
I've kept up a little bit. The guys who did the enhanced editions of the games are doing it, and I know Chris Aveline has some degree of involvement in it.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how much. I don't know if he's just doing a dungeon or a character, or because he's not at Obsidian anymore, so...
Right.
I don't know if that means he's going to join Beamdog or not, but...
That's just such a good company name, Beamdog.
It's, I don't know a ton, honestly, beyond that. I apologize.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I mean, we've got more Baldur's Gate coming out, so that can't be a bad thing, I hope. Especially since Beamdog stayed really true to what Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were, just kind of modernized it a little bit.
They did. The problem with their enhanced editions is they're fairly glitchy.
Oh yeah.
So my brother was playing through both of them and got a glitch that completely made him not be able to do one of the new quests they added.
Great.
And it's like once you're 60 hours into something, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
That's a bummer.
hopefully building one from the ground up, they will eliminate that factor. But
yeah.
I'm so overwhelmed with the amount of 60 to 90 hour old
Western
school,
RPGs.
yeah, that are coming out that it's just like, where am I going to put that?
Yeah, where am I going to play Wasteland 2 again?
It's okay. Just get Final Fantasy Explorers. It's like a 9-hour game.
That's right. It's a palate cleanser.
You can do that.
Yeah. Speaking of another 100-hour game that's getting a little bit longer, Dragon Quest Inquisition, BioWare has come out and said that the new DLC, sort of all DLC coming forward, will only be available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. That's probably a good call. You don't want to get into a Skyrim sort of situation here where you keep putting DLC in your game and it just keeps breaking.
Well, and I would hope they looked at their sales numbers and just like it just turned out that there weren't a ton of people who got it on 360 and PS3.
That would be my assumption. Would be
I didn't even know it came out for those systems, honestly, until you read that article.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that there were last-gen versions of Dragon Age Inquisition. I couldn't imagine that would be a great experience. So the fact that the DLC isn't going to come out, that's not a surprise. And I bet you're right. They probably looked at all their sales and went, well, here's all these sales, and 10% of those were on this other console. Maybe we don't put the engineering time towards that. So, I'm going to skip this next news story. Knights of the Old Republic 2 gets another update just 10 years after the last one.
10 years later.
10 years later. This is really thanks to a bunch of intrepid modders who deserve a ton of respect here. The Steam version of the game just got a whole bunch of updates. It now has achievements, which is my downfall in general. Gamepad support, which even supports like PS3 and PS4 controllers, which is crazy. Widescreen and native resolution support, including 4K and 5K resolutions. Steam Cloud saves, Steam Workshop support, and a whole bunch of bug fixes. And on top of that, the Sith Lord's Restored Content mod, which kind of finishes up the ending of that game because Obsidian couldn't get around to it before the game came out, is available in Steam Workshop. So now you can just kind of one-click install it, and it will kind of just work. And right now it's only $10. So that seems like a pretty good price for a game that I've heard is really great, and I unfortunately never played.
That's awesome. That's the one Obsidian did.
Yep.
So.
And I've always heard it was really good, and I really liked the first KOTOR. I just, for some reason, never got around to playing the second one.
So I just had a nightmare of a realization going back to the the Baldur's Gate news story.
Mm-hmm.
You can transfer your character from Baldur's Gate 1 to Baldur's Gate 2.
Okay.
Which means if I ever play this new Baldur's Gate coming out, I need to get a Baldur's Gate save file.
Oh no. Musem, control yourself. Just go online, Google search Baldur's Gate Remastered Complete Save.
I
strong.
guess I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I can rename him in the import.
Yeah. The other Jay-Z in chat says, runs an RPG cast, has never played KOTOR 2. It is one of my secret shames. Wait, now I guess it's not that secret. I've also never played Earthbound, so if you want to hate me for something else.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta get around to it. I have it on Wii U. I should just bring my Wii U up here and plug it into my streaming setup and just play it.
You know what? While we're having confessional, I played the beginning of Knights of the Old Republic 2 back when it came out and didn't like it. And didn't play it.
So you get to decide which one is worse, listeners.
No, there's. I'll confess one thing, and you know what? I'll make a deal with Boston. He finishes Earthbound. I play and beat Chrono Trigger.
Wow. Okay. You're driving a strong bargain.
I just learned something. You haven't actually beaten or played Chrono Trigger. Oh my god.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So if Boston beats Earthbound,
Okay.
if he even starts playing it, I will start playing Chrono Trigger.
The other Jay-Z in chat says he's going to fight us both in real life, so let's move on to tweets. Gibbinator writes in and says, what are your favorite underappreciated RPGs that aren't Alpha Protocol, Chrono Cross, or the Mother/Earthbound series?
Nicely done.
That's fair. Mine is probably I read this question earlier and I had it in my mind. It's the series on PS2 where the main battle system is that ring where you're stopping it at certain points on the ring.
Oh, the
Yes.
first game was like a horror game, and
the second one was outstanding, and the third one was something a new world.
Shadow
Hearts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Shadow Hearts 2 is so outstandingly great, and Shadow Hearts 3 is so really not. but the second Shadow Hearts is outstanding from front to back, and it's one of those JRPGs where, like, if you love JRPGs, you thanks to Magnatech in chat for saying Shadow Hearts. Stupid Twitch delay. One of those JRPGs that, like, if you love JRPGs, you always think, like, God, I wish somebody would just come up with something new. Shadow Hearts totally did, and it's so good. Oh, and you have a dog in your party, so obviously it's a great game.
Yeah.
Mina, it looked like you had spotted one.
Yes. Radiata Stories.
Oh, that's a good choice.
A Square game that a lot of people probably don't even know about.
Yep.
And it is it's okay, so it's more like a Tales game in terms of you actually kind of run around and fight rather than turn RPG turn based.
Yeah, there's no like whooshing load screen or anything.
Yeah, no, and it is. It's hilarious. It's bombastic, funny, and then it goes to somber, and then it goes to really, really upsetting. You will go through a wild range of emotions while playing this game, and it takes a quick turn to wow, dark, and your ending will either make you very angry or upset or not quite happy.
Yeah, that's a great choice. That game has been seriously overlooked in a pretty unfortunate way.
Yeah, it's a PS2 game.
It's pretty easy to find if anyone wants to play it.
Yeah, and I think the voice acting's fine in it, and just even if you popped it in today, the graphics they have their own charm to it. It's quite good. I think a lot of people when they try play it had and much like Chrono Cross, lots of characters to recruit. So yes. I'm big on character recruitment and wacky ways to recruit them. In some cases, you recruit characters by kicking them, and they will join your party.
That is, she is not making that up. I forgot about that.
Yes, the kicking. You kick everything in that game. You kick stools, kick plants, kick monsters, just constant kick.
Musum, any kicking based RPGs that you really love?
Not kicking, no.
Regrettably.
Actually, you did just remind me of one kind of RPG that I completely forgot about till just now. That I'm now going to say, because this question gets harder and harder as time goes by, because all the old RPGs that used to be unheard of are now heard of.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows Persona now, and Shin Megami Tensei, but I was going to say Tactics Ogre, but now I'm going to say Hybrid Heaven. This is Nintendo 64 game, and it has, the story's dumb. You start out as this stupid looking through the whole first level you're this guy who's like a Native American with bleached blonde hair and like the skater cut and like a pink jacket. You look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And then the second level you actually get your, like, it turns out that was a disguise your character was looking like. I mean, props to them for making you a Native American, but not props to them for the pink jacket and the bleached blonde hair. Like, that was completely unnecessary. But this game's combat system, you leveled up. Jay-Z, you're gonna have a field day with this. You leveled up your body parts, your left arm and right arm and head and chest and legs, and it was turn-based combat, and you learned moves either by leveling up certain body parts to be able to perform the move, or from the enemy doing it, kind of a combination of those things. And the battles took forever, but oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Like, I always want to go back and play it, and as a combat system, I've never seen anyone emulate, and I always wish someone would take that combat system and put them in a game with a good story. And on top of that, from what I remember, the soundtrack for the game, which is a lot of like ethereal synth stuff, I just thought was amazing. Like, I would say if you're a Vangelis type fan, then you'd probably enjoy the soundtrack for it.
Man, I forgot about that game until you just mentioned it. That's good stuff.
It is a game I rented or maybe I just bought it on a whim and then was kind of determined to like it because, I mean, that first level does a lot to make you not like the game. But like once you got past it and got the normal character and kind of started getting an idea of how the game system works, it was just, I loved it.
Gibinator writes in and says, my biggest one would have to be the Super NES Sailor Moon RPG, which, unique for a licensed game, had an original story. I've actually heard that quite a few times about that game, is that surprisingly they told a pretty good story with that game, and it was not as bad as you would sort of expect a Sailor Moon RPG to be bad, but it was apparently pretty solid. So
I did play that game. Now that he brings that up, I remember I didn't have a legal means to play it, but a long time ago I played it, and if I search the very corners of my memory of playing this game, I remember it actually being pretty good and not being like, oh, this is clearly an attempt to just cash cow this game in, you know?
Right.
So I do remember positive things about it.
The other Jay-Z in chat says SGGQ just hit $1 million, so yay!
Woo!
Congratulations, SGGQ.
That's the first time SGDQ has ever hit $1 million.
Oh, nice. Well, extra congrats for them.
Yep.
Musim, you look like you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was just I'm pretty sure I'd played the Sailor Moon RPG as well, along with the Tenchi Muyo one and the Gundam one.
I love Tenchi Muyo, and that RPG was not great.
Yeah, neither was the Gundam one.
Yeah.
Like, the Gundam one should have been good. Oh, God, it's bringing back all sorts of memory. I just remembered MS Saga, which was God, I hated the way all the characters looked and the story in that game, but I loved building Gundams and exchanging their parts. But.
Oh, man. We have an email from Addison F, a.k.a. The Floydage. And he writes in and says, hey all, sorry I haven't been written in a while. I recently started my first real full-time job, and so life has been kind of crazy for me. Congratulations.
Yay.
Anyways, I read on the interwebs this week that China is ending its 15-year ban on video game consoles. Any thoughts on how this might affect the gaming world and us RPG lovers in particular? Also, I started playing Skyrim again, this time with all the DLC. Thanks/curses Steam sale. I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question. I don't know if we'll see anything serious coming out of China anytime soon, sort of on the video game front, but I'm hoping that means there can be additional video game companies that are gonna spring up in China, because I'd like to see what that means.
That would be interesting. I'd love to see a Chinese video game company that made something that wasn't a blatant ripoff of something that already exists because it's banned there.
Right. Or it's this, like an American or a Japanese company are making an online shooter exclusively for China. That sort of stuff.
And if the market winds up big enough in China, I mean, that is very well plausible.
Yeah. It'd be kind of neat to see what's coming out. I don't think I'd really expect anything very soon. Maybe hopefully there'd be a cool indie scene that springs up, but I don't think we're going to see anything major for a while.
That's kind of the problem with not criticism itself, but kind of the timeline of video game criticism to games, is the video game companies can't really do anything about it for several years, because it takes so long to develop something.
Yeah, and you got to get your console base installed, your console install base set up in the country before you take the risk of making a game that might be focused for your country in particular.
Right, and then you don't know exactly how that market is going to want what sort of game. Obviously they gear games more towards the countries themselves when they when they make them. Like certain games just appeal more to the Japanese market versus the American market. How do you know how to make a game specifically for the Chinese market if you've never had any sort of history there, really?
Yeah, if you haven't had a Chinese market before.
So that'll be interesting for them to figure out what they're going to dip in there first.
That's a good
point. And if anything, most Americans have shown that we know absolutely nothing about China the majority of the time.
Or most of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for all your emails and tweets this week. That's all we got for this month. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. You can tweet us at pickinguppixels. There's no the in there. That's too long. You can email us fans at pickingupthepixels, and everything else is on the right-hand side of the page. Musum, where can we find more about your stuff?
You can buy my music at musum.bandcamp.com or on the iTunes store, or listen to it on Spotify. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And Mina, what about you?
You can find me on Twitch or YouTube at Minako Rocket, Mina Ko Rocket, or you can watch me on Twitch. Watch me on Hitbox on Risette, Risette.
And as I always say, if you don't know how to spell Risette, go play Persona 4. Come on. What are you doing? You can find more about my shows at e1m1.com. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Mina and Musum, for joining me again.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And our adventure continues next month. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching and joining us. Thank you very much for a bunch of new viewers. Follow us here. Follow us on... There should be a bunch of links down at the bottom for all of our Twitters and YouTube and all that stuff. So go check that out. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.